Hi, I'm Sandy Ussia. Welcome to another Lightning Tools webinar. This webinar is about our Social Squared discussion board product, and so hope you're in the right place. Let me tell you a little bit about Lightning Tools. We have been around since 2007. I am Sandy there in the corner. I am the technical evangelist for Lightning Tools and also head up our customer success team. We offer a number of different products that work within SharePoint and Teams. As you can see on the left, we'll be talking about our Social Squared discussion board, but we also offer things like permissions management, a content aggregation web part, and a data integration and visualization web part, both of which can work with our free Lightning Filters web part to create interactive dashboards for people on SharePoint pages. We have a list form design tool that lets you customize your SharePoint list forms, and that kind of can go along with a list actions tool that works right within your list command bar, as well as a document generator that can allow you to create documents right from SharePoint lists. And you can also migrate legacy forms with our form migration tool. So if any of that sounds interesting to you as well, you can feel free to contact us later after the webinar and book a demo of any of those things or download a free trial. But we'll be talking about our discussion board tool today. So first of all, we'll talk about discussion boards in general in Teams and SharePoint and why you would want one and when they're useful. Then we'll delve into what our Social Squared discussion board product is and does and how it works. More than an overview, we'll do pretty much a full demo of that. And then we'll take a look at what's new because this month we have a new release of Social Squared coming out, and we'll look at those couple new features, and then we'll have room for questions and answers at the end. So first of all, thinking about discussion boards in general, what benefits can they bring to your organization? The main thing that you would want to get out of really anything that you deploy to your organization is something that helps your organization grow and be more successful. And discussion boards are a great way to do that. Well, for a number of reasons. First, you get enhanced collaboration among the people in your organization. They're able to share ideas and knowledge and participate in discussions. And the whole idea behind SharePoint is collaboration, and Microsoft Teams as well. And discussion boards just enhance that they take that to another level. It allows increased engagement among your staff. So they're not only just consuming information that's been handed to them, but they're actually engaging with the information and participating in the forums. You get improved communication among your different departments. You could have centralized discussion boards where everybody can come together. You can also have discussion boards within each department so they can talk about their own topics, but you can have a centralized board as well where everybody can come together and communicate. Knowledge sharing is a big one. We have a lot of clients who are using the discussion board really as a knowledge base. So as people ask questions and get answers to those questions, the answers can be marked as answered, for example, and then people will know coming in later, for example, new people, they'll be able to easily find the answers to the questions that have already been asked without having to ask them again and again. So it allows the subject matter experts to share their knowledge among everybody who has questions about those topics. Discussion boards also serve as a way of record keeping. So you have a record of discussions that were had around a certain topic, and also maybe decisions that were made where maybe a question was asked and then there's conversation in the discussion board about that, and in the end you come to some kind of consensus or decision, and that's all in the discussion board for future reference, and you have a record of all of that, the whys and wherefores of why you came up with that decision. Discussion boards allow for flexibility. That's especially important when you have remote workers, people who are working in different time zones or different spaces, and a discussion board in SharePoint or Teams allows those people to again, ask questions, get answers, or just give information, no matter where they're located in the world, and allows the other people to see that information again, no matter where they're located. So it gives the organization more flexibility. It empowers your employees because people, again, are not just being fed information, but they feel that they can participate. Some features that especially allow that are, for example, you can allow posts to be made anonymously. So if you have a particular discussion board that is something where you want really honest feedback, and people might be hesitant to give that if their names are attached to it, you could allow them to post anonymously, and that really empowers them to be able to give that honest feedback. Alternatively, you can also make the discussion board a safe space, declare that whatever you say here can be will be taken as it's said, so that empowers people to go ahead and say what they feel within the discussion board. And it gives your organization a chance to get diverse perspectives from people from all different backgrounds, different experience levels, different expertise areas, and lets that all be used right within the discussion board. So lots of different benefits that allow your organization to be more successful because you're gaining all of that collaboration and participation by your staff. There are lots of different examples of ways that you can use discussion boards in business. You may be familiar with discussion boards online, which might be around specific products or specific hobbies or areas of interest, for example. We also have clients at Lightning Tools who use discussion boards in an educational setting. So, for example, a teacher might post questions in a discussion board, and then the students can participate in the answers while that class is in session. But we'll look at a couple of these examples of how you might use discussion boards in business. One might be product development. We use our discussion board like that here at Lightning Tools, where we can gather feedback from clients and discuss that among ourselves internally, and get ideas for new features for the products, and have decision making about whether things are technically feasible and things like that. So that could apply to any sort of manufacturing business. For example, you can have external people join and be able to give feedback on your products and get new ideas from that. You can use discussion boards for cross-departmental communication. As I mentioned before, you might have discussion boards for individual departments, but then you can have a central discussion board where people from all different departments and walks of life, so to speak, would be able to communicate in that single discussion board. You can use discussion boards for training and onboarding. That's a great use case where you want to have, for example, maybe your human resource documentation, or people have questions about their vacation time, and you have new hires and they probably have the same questions as the previous hires. So you can have all that information in a knowledge base in a discussion board, so that people can come there to find the answers to those questions that they also have. And in addition, as things go along, people are asking more questions and getting more answers, so the resources can be right there. You can upload documentation right into the discussion board and then have that available to people. What we're going to look at today is another example, and that is if our demonstration scenario is going to be a manufacturer that has a distributor network, and they want to engage with those partners and distributors. And again, this could be people that aren't part of your SharePoint online, but they are people who you've invited into your SharePoint, so external people, and people who might work in teams with you, but you can have them participate in the discussion forums as well. So we're going to jump right into the demonstration. Our scenario is a discussion board for Bread Spike's Distributor Hub. And we'll look at first how that works from a participant perspective. So if I am a member of the discussion board, I would be able to create new topics and reply to topics. I can give feedback to the discussions that are already going on. I can find topics, so something that I am looking to find out if somebody has already talked about using the social squared search and tags, and I can subscribe to topics and forums if I want to make sure that I get notified anytime somebody's asking about things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and display my Brett Spikes Distributor Hub here. So I'm on my homepage of the hub. And if I scroll down, I can see the social squared web part. So just to familiarize you a little bit with how the social squared web part is structured, you have the dark green bars going across. Those are what we call forum groups, and those would be your broad categories of discussion. So in our example, we've got one called general discussion, products discussions, sales and marketing, and you can have any number of those forum groups, which are your broad categories. And again, this is completely flexible to your organization, so you can name these however you want. It's something good to think about ahead of time is how you want to structure the architecture of your forum, because you as the owner of the site have the ability to build that structure out, and then the members will participate in the actual forums. So in what we're seeing here, again, the broad categories are the forum groups, and then within each one, I've got kind of subcategories, which we call forums. So under general discussion, we've got a welcome and introductions forum, an announcements and updates forum, and feedback and suggestions forum. And that all has been created ahead of time by you, if you are the owner of the site. And then as a member, I would see these categories here, and I would be able to tell where the appropriate place is for me to ask a question or to find information. So for example, if I want to look at this feedback and suggestions forum, I can just click into it, and then here as a member, that's where I could add a new topic if I wanted to. So I'm going to just show how to do that. Let's say I am having a problem with a mountain bike. I can go to the mountain bikes forum, and I will add a new topic. And I'm having trouble with my shifter on my bike. So I want to see, what's the problem here? And I can do things you can see in the ribbon menu here. I could add video if I wanted. I could add screenshots. So I'm actually going to do that. I have a screenshot here that I'm just going to copy, but I could do this from my phone. For example, if I was using this in the SharePoint mobile app or the Teams mobile app, I could just take a picture from my phone and have that go right into the post, which would be convenient if it was something like reporting a problem. You can see that I could post anonymously if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. And for my tags, I can put any kind of tags that I want on this. So there's one that has already been made called gear ratios. That's not really what I'm talking about here. So I'm just going to tag it for gear. And then I'm going to add that post. And so now that has been added. I've got my problem with my shifter that's been added there. And then somebody, whoever is in charge of mountain bikes, can come along and maybe help me out with that. I can also reply to topics. So I'm logged in as another user here as well. I have demo user 6, and demo user 6 is an expert on things like promotion. So promotional events. Demo user 6 is a moderator there. So actually, I'm going to go back to my other user, sorry. and look at my promotional events. And I would like to go to this Electrify Expo. And I had already asked about that, and demo user 6 said that yes, we could go. And I can see the note there that demo user 6 is a moderator of this forum because they're the ones who know the most about the promotional events. And so I'd like to know more about whether Brett's Bikes is going to be an exhibitor. So I'll hit reply. And now in this case, because demo user 6 is moderating this forum, I get this message that my post has been sent for approval, and it's not going to show up yet to anybody until demo user 6 approves it, because that's the way I have it set up. So if I switch back to demo user 6, then and refresh the screen, say demo user 6 has just arrived in for the day, then they'll see a message that says that there are some things awaiting moderation, and because they are a moderator, and they'll see in the menu here that there's now a moderation icon available to them and what they need to moderate. So I can see that it's in this post that's called Electrify Expo, and I could either approve or delete it here, but of course I'd prefer to read it first. So I can click into it as the moderator and see what that question, that most recent pending question was about the Brett's Bikes being exhibiting. And so I can there say that I want to approve that. I do want to approve that. And then while I'm here, I can go ahead as the moderator and reply to that and say that, yes, we are. So that just gives you an example of how the moderation works, and I'll show you in a bit how we would go about setting that up. So log back in as myself. Again, some ways of finding some content here. I might want to search for some things. So say I want to search for something around inventory. How does Brett's Bikes handle inventory questions? Social Squared has its own search box, as you just saw, as opposed to the SharePoint search box that's up at the top. And when I use that, then I can see any posts that have mentioned inventory. They didn't have to be tagged that way. It can just be anywhere in the body, and it'll be highlighted for me so that I can see what is the part about inventory there. And if I want to view that whole topic, then I can just click on view topic, and that'll take me to that whole conversation if it had been, a whole thread of conversation. I can also find things through the tag cloud. So you saw me tag a post before, and as a user, as a member, I can go in here and open the tag cloud. That gives me a view of all of the tags that have been created by people within this forum instance. And as with most tag clouds, you can see that the ones that are tagged the most are the largest in the largest font. And if I click on one of those, then it'll show me all the posts that have been tagged with electric bikes. So a little bit different than a search, but that lets you get to the things where people have actually said, this is the topic of this item because I've tagged it as such. I can also actually follow a tag. So if I know that I am really interested in electric bikes, if I go back to the tag cloud, I can enter the electric bikes tag by beginning to type it, and then it'll show up there. And that means now I'll receive notifications anytime somebody tags something with electric bikes. I don't even have to come back here and find out about it. I'll get an email notification about that now, from now on. Also, as a user, I can give feedback on forums. So let's say I am going back into my Electrify Expo, and I'm really happy to hear that Brett's Bikes is going to be exhibiting at that forum or at that expo. So I could either give it a thumbs up. That would be more of like along the terms of voting. So, if I wanted to say, if you're having something like a poll or, agree or disagree, I could give thumbs up or thumbs down. But also in this case, I just want to say, oh, I really love that. Yeah, I love that idea. Also, as part of the forums, you can see that there are badges that people have. So that's based on their participation. So based on the number of posts that they make and answers, things that have been marked as the answer, then they'll get badges for those things. I can also mark things as the answer. Since I was the one who posted that original question, I could mark this one as the answer, that yes, we can. And from then on, when somebody comes in and they're viewing that promotional events, I can see with this little green check mark, that's a topic that has had an answer to it. And if I click into the topic, I could click on show answered, and that would then pop that answer right up to the top, so that, you know, that's, if I have a long ongoing thread, that's especially helpful, so that I can see what was the actual answer to that question. And let's say I'm really interested in learning anything that anybody has to say about the promotional events, I can subscribe to this forum. So as a member, any of the forums, I can hit subscribe, and I can choose if I only want to be notified of new whole topics or of anything that anybody posts, that I can just hit subscribe. And now you can see that toggled to unsubscribe, so I can unsubscribe too. But from now on, anytime somebody adds something new in this promotional events forum, then I'm going to get an email about it. And that email will allow me to, I'll just show you an example of what those look like. So the ones that I've already subscribed to, I can see the email, and I can click on the breadcrumb here to just go right into that that forum if I want to see what the whole thread was. And I can reply right from here too, and that'll take me into the forum and let me reply. So a very handy tool to be able to get notified about things. A couple other things as a member that I can do, I can create or I can view different views. So right now, right now I'm also the site owner, so I'm seeing a couple things on this menu that a regular member wouldn't see. These two things, get started, administrator, and the forum settings, which we'll look at in just a second. But as a member, I would get a getting started guide right within the web part. I can also view some things such as favorites. So if there's a particular topic that's a favorite, or that is something I really want to follow, but I don't necessarily want to get email notifications about it, I could mark it as a favorite, and then it'll appear on my favorites list, and that'll give me a way to view, you know, just the ones that I'm really interested in, kind of following but not getting notified about. And I could pin that as my favorite view, so I could pin a view. So whatever the current view is could be pinned. And now whenever I come back to this page, it'll be the favorites that I see first. And then I can always click back in Social Squared and get the main view there. But at least, you know, that gives me a way of getting to what I really want to know first of all. Or if I am maybe a moderator or a subject matter expert, maybe what I would like to see first is the unanswered topics, because those might be the things that I should go do something about. So I would be able to view those, and that might be my favorite view. I can see on this one, by the way, that somebody has done a rating on that, and that can be done by any user. So my user has not yet rated it. So my user, I'll just rate that a 3. And so then if I look back at here, then that has a rating that you can see on the forum view. So lots of different ways for the members to be able to view things. There are also things like seeing who's following you, who are the most active users, what the most recent activities were, what's most popular by how much people have viewed it. So any of those things might make a great kind of a personal view that you might want to go into as a member. So now let's look a little bit at what you might do as a Social Squared administrator. And as I mentioned, if you're an owner of a SharePoint site or an owner of a Teams team, then you're automatically a Social Squared administrator. And so if I want to maybe add another forum group here, I can do that. So I've got these regional distributor networks and so on. But let's say I'd like a forum, a top level category for customer support for sort of more technical questions. So as the owner, as the administrator, I can go into forum settings and add a forum group. And I'm going to call this my technical forum. I'll add that. And so now I've got an additional forum group. And if I come back out here, I can see that it's added another green bar at the bottom so that it's all immediate, real time. I'll come back in here, and for people to be able to participate in it, I need to also add a forum. So I need to add a subcategory or two in technical forums. So I'm going to view forums, add a new forum, and let's say I want to have one for customer problems specifically. And I need to give it a description, post your problems here. And here's where I could add a moderator. So in that other forum, as you'll recall, where demo user 6 was a moderator, that's where I could add somebody here. So let's say demo user 5 is somebody who is more technical, and they can answer technical questions that people are going to have. So I can, as soon as I add somebody here, I don't have to. If I don't add anybody there, then people will be able to just go ahead and post in that forum without having to have that approved by moderators. But as soon as I add somebody here, then by default, posts can't be made, or posts won't be visible until that moderator approves them. But I could flick this toggle here, allow users to create the topics while the forum is under moderation. And that will mean that people can go ahead and post topics, and they'll go ahead and appear. So they won't see that message that I saw when I was trying to post about the expo. But still, the moderator will get a notification that there is a post to be moderated, and they can still approve that post. So it's kind of going to be in pending state anyway until they approve it. So people can see, yes, that hasn't really been sort of vetted by the moderator yet. And the moderator will be able to do things like actually edit the post if something's not appropriate or incorrect, or move it to a different place if it's not in the right place. So the moderator still has a function there, but they don't have to approve posts for them to appear. So I'll just leave that way, I think. You can also set where only administrators and moderators can create new topics. That is maybe a typical scenario for education, where you might be using this for a class and you want only the teacher to be able to pose sort of discussion questions and have the students be able to just answer those questions. And all of this, as you can see, I'm just now creating this customer problems forum, which is a subcategory. So all of these things only apply to that customer problems forum. All of these, every forum can have different settings as far as that goes. Similarly, I can override some of the properties that exist in general. We're not really going to take a look at that here in this webinar, but as an admin, there are a whole set of configurable properties with Social Squared that you are able to set, some having to do with the badges and voting and turning things on and off in the views and so on. But there are some of those that I could override for this specific forum. So maybe in this forum, I want to say I don't want, or I do want to allow voting but disable down voting. So things that I want to change from the default settings, and I want to make them something different just for this forum, I can do that. And then when I click add, that adds this forum to the new forum group. And now I can see that I have down here my customer problems forum under the technical forum group. And as I'm thinking about that, maybe that topic that I had posted back up here under mountain bikes, the problem with the shifter, now that I've got a separate forum for that, I think that would be a better place for it. So because I am logged in right now as an admin, I can go into that topic and say that I would like to move it. A regular user will not be able to do this. They won't see this icon, but a moderator or an admin can. So I can move this topic that is really a technical issue and move it to my new customer problems forum that I created. I'll click Move Topic. And so now it won't be, so under mountain bikes, I can still see it there. So if I wanted to, if I knew it had been there before and I come looking for it, it's there, but it's got this little icon showing that it's been moved. And I could click on it here actually, and this will take me into where it actually got moved to, which is under customer problems. So I think that gives you a pretty good tour of how Social Squared works. So we're going to look now at some of the new features that we're releasing this month. We went through these actually. So some new features that we're releasing this month. One is the ability to cross-post. That's been a common customer ask. And what that lets you do is create a topic in one area, but maybe it's also relevant to another area, and you don't want the subject matter experts to miss it. So you can cross-post it into two different places. Another new feature, well, and we're going to take a look at each of these. Another new feature is, as a member, I have those 6 or 7 now forum groups that are in my Social Squared instance, but maybe as a member, I don't find all of those necessarily relevant to me. So I can hide ones that I don't want to see. And also we've made some improvements to how Social Squared works with the SharePoint themes and also the Microsoft Teams theme. So let's take a look at those. So the first one was cross-posting, and let's say I have a question about, let's say I'm having problems with my supply chain, which is everybody is. Maybe not quite so much anymore, but so I'll add a new topic here, but I am having trouble with my sourcing my e-bike batteries. And I'm going to tag that with electric bikes again. And I think also batteries. But here I would like to also have this under the electric bikes forum because that's what it's relevant to as well. So I can click on the new cross-posting button and go find my electric bikes forum, select that, and then select. And now when I add this post, it appears in my supply chain challenges forum, but also it is under the electric bikes forum. I can see it already here. Oops, that my e-bike batteries question is under there as well. So if we have somebody who is an expert on electric bikes, they might be the best ones to answer that possibly. So that's the new cross-posting feature. Another new feature was the ability to hide forum groups as a member. So as an administrator, I can actually choose which forum groups to display to everybody. That's part of the configuration setup I can do. But as a member, so if I go back to my demo user 6 member, when I'm on the home page of Social Squared, I have this menu option called Forum Groups. That's new, and I can choose that. And let's say as demo user 6, they were the expert in the promotional thing. So really, maybe they only want to see sales and marketing, and maybe about the distributor networks, but not so much about the technical discussions. So then I'll save those, and then from that point on, until I change it, demo user 6 will only be seeing those 2 forum groups, but everybody else will still see all of the forum groups unless they change their view. So it gives you yet another way as a member to see the things that are relevant to you and make sure that you're seeing those important things. Switching back to my account, I just wanted to show you really quickly how Social Squared works with themes. So in this case, you can see right now I've got my forum groups are this sort of dark green bar here. But if I decide that I want to switch the look of my SharePoint site, change the look, and I'll change the theme maybe to one of these other ones, say my branding for Brett Spikes is really red things. If I choose that, then everything in Social Squared is also going to change into that red theme. I didn't save it, so just wanted to give you a better view of, well, oh, that's right, because I set favorites as my view. So that's where that's all coming. Even the dark ones, the dark views are going to work with that too. So if I switch to a dark mode, I'm not a particular fan of that, but I know a lot of people are. So that will also work. Everything will work in Social Squared there. So I'm just going to switch back to my normal view as it was. Also, it looks a little better in Teams now too. So if I switch over to Teams, first of all, I wanted to point out that this is the Microsoft Teams team called Brett Spikes. So it's the Teams team that is associated with the Brett Spikes SharePoint site collection. And in Teams, you can add Social Squared as a tab in a team, and it'll show the exact same content as you have in SharePoint. So in fact, a lot of people only use Social Squared in Teams, but you can use it in both places. So just depending on where your members are more comfortable, if they want to work on the forum in Teams, they can. If they want to do it in Social Squared, they can. And all of the content is exactly the same. But what's new here, that's been around for a while, the ability to do that. But what's new here is that we're using the Teams theme for the forum groups and the names of the forums and so on. It had been kind of a gray color that things sort of blended in a little bit, but now things are a lot more visible. So I think that's really great to see. So those are our new features for this month's release. And I have a couple questions myself to answer. You can feel free to put some questions in the chat or in the Q&A panel, either one. But these are some questions that people often do ask us, so I'll answer them right away. One is, where is that data stored? So the answer to that is that for Social Squared and SharePoint Online, all of the data is, or in SharePoint 2019 or SE, actually, if you're using the modern Social Squared, that is stored in your own tenant in the case of SharePoint Online. So it's in SharePoint lists in that site where you're using Social Squared. So nothing ever comes back to Lightning Tools or is stored somewhere on the internet or anything like that. It's all within your Microsoft 365 tenant, your SharePoint Online. And so security is also done through SharePoint. So only people who have access to your SharePoint or your Teams are going to be able to participate in the forums, but also anybody who you designate as a member of that SharePoint site or that Teams team will be able to actively participate in the forums. So that includes guest users that you may have from other organizations. If you've invited them into your SharePoint Online or to your team, then they'll also be able to participate in your forums. That's a pretty common question we get. Social Squared is built on the SharePoint framework architecture. So it is a modern web part. You add it as an app to your app catalog in SharePoint, and then you can add it to as many sites as you like and build out as many forums as you wish. And our licensing is done based on the number of SharePoint licensed users you have in your SharePoint Online tenant, because it's not dependent on how many forums you set up. You can set up as many as you like once you have purchased a license. And now I'll open it up to any additional questions that anybody may have. Feel free to post those in the chat. I'll just check and see if there are any. I don't think I see any. Oh, I see some, yeah, that Brett's been answering, so great, okay. So there's a question about notification. Could you receive a notification each time? Yes, that is exactly so. Yes, okay, yes, I answered. Yep. And actually, yeah, there are 3 different levels you can subscribe at. So I showed at the forum level, but you can also subscribe to a specific topic. And in fact, as you create a topic, you're sort of by default subscribed to that topic, but you can, so that you'll get notified if somebody replies to you. You can also actually subscribe at the forum group level. That was a new feature a few releases back, maybe a year ago now, where you could subscribe to a whole group of forums at once. And as I showed you, you can subscribe to tags. You can actually also get a digest email. That's a pretty new feature where you get 1 email per day or week or whatever your administrator has set up, and that would show you all of the things that have been going on in the forum. But yes, you can do that for individual topics. Don't think I see any other questions. But I hope you found this useful, and if you want to see more or if you have specific use cases that you'd like to discuss, you can feel free to email us at help@lightningtools.com, or on the website there's a book a demo link, so you can get a private demo and we can talk about your specific scenario that you may have, because we have customers using Social Squared for all sorts of things. It's really interesting to us to see, what all people are discussing in their discussion forums. So we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. So thanks very much, and we'll see you on the next webinar. Thank you.